Welcome to the Scam Economy with your host, Matt Bender.
Hello everyone, Matt Binder here, and this week Scam Economy is bringing you some bonus material, a little sneak peek, if you will, of some of the calls we've had on the live stream post show. That's right. Every week, a new episode of Scam Economy drops, both on the podcast feed and also as a YouTube premiere. And after that YouTube premiere, you can catch it as a replay on YouTube as well, but after the live YouTube premiere, I do a live stream post show where listeners can call in and talk with me about really whatever, but a lot of the listeners obviously call in to talk about crypto, NFTs, Web3, etc., you name it. And so a few weeks ago, after the episode on the crypto Jenga collapse with David Gerard and Amy Castor, this is June 16th, June 17th. After that episode, I had a call-in show, and John from Australia called in to remind me of a caller from one of the earliest episodes of the post show for Scam Economy, all the way back February 10th, after episode 3, where someone called in to talk about Celsius. And, we had just talked about Celsius right after they paused and froze all withdrawals from its customers in the main episode. So, John from Australia wanted to remind me of that call. And so let's take a listen at what John from Australia had to say. And then we will then play that call that he's talking about from February. But before we get to that, remember, you can support this show by going to patreon.com/MattBinder to subscribe and support this show monetarily. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, that one's free, at youtube.com/MattBinder. Go to twitch.tv/MattBinder. Connect your Amazon Prime account, if you're an Amazon Prime subscriber, to your twitch.tv account, and you can give me a free for you, paid for Amazon, Twitch Prime subscription every month. Also, go to scameconomy.com for all the links to the podcast version of this show, and leave a review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. So here we go, the Scam Economy post show from June 16th, right after episode 19 went live. Hey, what is your name? Where are you calling from?
G'day, Matt. It's Jon from Australia. How you doing?
Hey, John from Australia. Haven't heard from you in a while. How are you doing, my friend?
Not too bad, mate. I've to be honest, I've tapped out of crypto for the time being. I can't follow the news. It's just too exhausting. It is incredibly dreary.
Right.
But I saw that you were doing a show on Celsius, amongst other things, and I had a bit of I was struck by a memory of the Scam Economy post show for episode 3.
Jeez, wow. I can't even remember Scam Economy post show that I started right now 2 minutes ago. But go ahead.
Well, the reason why I was struck is because of the sort of this crash about Celsius, right?
Right.
And prior to that, the crash about Luna, and all of these crypto natives are telling us, oh, look, it was, it's kind of obvious that it was a scam. It's too good to be true. Surely you got to look at these things and, do your own research and that sort of thing, right?
Right.
But this one particular caller called up on episode 3 of the Scam Economy post show, and they said that both yourself and the left as a whole were too harsh on crypto. Like, too harsh. This stuff is coming and we have to get used to it. They were telling us this caller was telling us about how they and their generation and many people like them are saddled with quite a bit of debt, in their case, student debt. And crypto was helping them pay that off. And I want to read you a couple of quotes from this call. So this is a quote from
you really did some work here. I love it. Go ahead. I might have to go back and listen to this.
I want you to go back and listen to it. It's 1 hour, 16 minutes, 20 seconds is the call on episode 3. But anyway, so here's some quotes. if I stake stable coins, every week it pays out. I get 12.68%, and it's not fake money. I could pull it out right now. I guarantee you, no savings bond does that. Mutual funds might get there, or they might lose your money because the stock market crashes. Nothing is stable like that out there that I'm aware of. What do you think they're talking about, Matt? What specific service do you think they're talking about?
Did they specifically mention Celsius?
Yes, they specifically mentioned Celsius.
Oh no! Well, I'm so glad you remember this. Wow. What else did they say? Do you have anything else?
Yes, I've got a quote here from you.
Okay.
My question is, where are these earnings coming from? Another quote from you. It doesn't make sense in terms of the interest they pay out. You know, someone is going to get screwed. Let's put it that way.
Oh no! Oh wow! Okay, I mean, should it be too
Another
shocking?
quote from the caller. Another quote from the caller. This is like a savings account, and it compounds every week, and I can take it out. It's completely liquid, and I can take the money out at any time. It's a better way to hold your money than a bank. There's no argument.
Wow, I need to figure out who that was and see if I could reach back out to them and ask how how they're doing. I mean, for their sake, I hope they decided to cash out of Celsius before this all happened. Oh boy, doesn't seem
I
like
really
it.
hope they did as well, because
Yeah.
I could see the chat replay, and there were multiple people, including myself, in the chat saying, really, you need to pull your money out right now. At this point in time, Celsius was in the crypto news for having lost $54 million of their clients' funds, because I'm pretty sure one of their staff members accidentally logged into some scam website using the company's MetaMask, and it just leached 54 million of their customers' funds for no reason. The thing that really gets me about this stuff is that if Celsius hadn't crashed, if it was something else, if it was wherever else, or whatever it is, at that point in time, we are faced with people coming to us being sort of crypto cynics, crypto skeptics, whatever you want to call them. People come to us and say, you need to, this is the only way my generation is going to build intergenerational wealth, or this is the only way we're going to be able to do this. We are faced with them bringing us examples of actual scams, and then saying, you need to explain to me why this is, well, I got cash out of it, so it must be legit. I can't explain how it works, but it's working for me, and I'm getting paid. And this is why I've tapped out of these discussions, to be honest, because this was February, and in less than 6 months, it's entirely possible this person has lost all their money, and there is no recourse, nothing.
Right. For people who aren't aware, Celsius basically, one of my favorite things was the founder of Celsius. What was his name? What's his name? I can't remember off the top of my head right now. But he basically, literally, what was it, Saturday night or something? He responded to people saying, "Oh, here we go. I could bring up the let me bring up the here. I even tweeted about it. Let me do a screen share here. 1 second. All right, so let's do this. Pulling up the tweet now. So on, oh my God. So on, let me just move over the screenshot so people can see. So on, what was June 11th? Do you remember? So that was Saturday night. Yes, Saturday night. There are people who were saying that they're hearing about accounts that are locked on Celsius, like people who are trying to withdraw their funds from Celsius. This is June 11th. And Alex Mashinsky, who is the founder of Celsius, he tweets at one of these guys, do you know even one person who has a problem withdrawing from Celsius? Why spread FUD and misinformation? If you are paid for this, then let everyone know that you were picking sides. And then literally the next day, what happens? Celsius tweets out and also shares a Medium post. Celsius Network is pausing all withdrawals, swap and transfers between accounts. Acting in the interest of our community is our top priority. Our operations continue, and we will continue to share information with the community. By the way, those withdrawals that were temporarily paused, still temporarily paused, now almost a week later. People had to pay back their loans. People wanted to access their funds, and they simply could not do any of that because I'm not even going to say their funds are frozen, because that's what they're saying, but that's not true. Their funds are gone. That's why they're freezing it and pausing withdrawals, because nothing's there.
It kills me. Like, I just go back to the quote from that caller. I could pull it all out right now. It's completely liquid. I can take the money out at any time. You can't, like, it's impossible to be fair, it's impossible to know, like, the machinations behind the scenes and all that sort of stuff, right? Like, it's kind of a, you know, we couldn't know that this Alex guy was actively doing scams. But when you say, I get 12.68%, right? And then when the caller says that and you say that just doesn't make sense. If you think about it rationally, like, where are they getting those earnings? How does that make sense?
Right.
And we're just told we're too harsh on crypto.
Right.
We're too harsh. The left is too harsh. You're going to be seen as too cynical and too harsh on crypto.
Right.
Come on.
Like the thing I never got about crypto lending, and I'm going to do an episode about it, obviously, because it's certainly not something that's going away, because, you know, the whole DeFi thing is built on this whole idea of, don't you hate how predatory and disgusting the big banks are? Wouldn't you like to be the one who's predatory and disgusting instead? I mean, that's what this all is. That's exactly what it is. But in this case, those people who wanted to be predatory and disgusting ended up getting, you know, screwed over themselves. But, you know, I don't understand the type of person who takes out a crypto loan. Like, let me go back. There was one type of person I completely understood, and that was the person who took out a crypto loan to purchase, to temporarily borrow. Because you could do that. You could, like, borrow NFTs. There's like a whole platform where you could borrow NFTs. So someone took out a crypto loan to borrow a Bored Ape NFT just when they were airdropping those ape coins to people who held Bored Ape NFTs. So he took out a crypto loan, used those funds to borrow a Bored Ape, because he was then the official Bored Ape holder. When the ape coin was airdropped later that day, he got the ape coin airdrop. So he basically made like $100,000-$200,000 off that ape coin airdrop. And then he returned the Bored Ape and paid back the loan immediately. And the dude literally made six figures in a matter of minutes. Genius. If that is the one scenario I've ever heard of where a crypto loan made sense. Other than that, very specific example, that once in a lifetime opportunity where you could be the type of person who even figures out you could do that. I don't get the type of person who takes out a crypto loan.
It's playing all the same sort of financial games that we've seen played over the past few decades, right? Like, all of that stuff happens in financial markets, in art markets. All of the same crap happens, but they're able to do it completely free of regulators, and the money is able to move much, much faster. There is no revolution here for the working class.
Oh, absolutely not.
I just, like, the whole Celsius thing, and me remembering that call and going back and listening to it, it's like, it's tragic. It's horrid. Anyway, I'll jump off the line and I'll let someone else pester you.
No, thank you. This was fantastic. I got to go back and listen to that. I'm gonna have to clip this for like a little bonus audio. And I'll clip this and that call from February, edit them together, and maybe release this as a little bonus on the podcast streams, because That's amazing. I didn't remember that call that someone actually brought up Celsius, and not only just brought it up as someone who parked their crypto in Celsius and was well. I wonder if they actually made anything. I wonder if they ever withdrew anything, or they just said, "Ooh, let's just keep letting this accumulate," and then lo and behold, fast forward 4 months, and they can't access any of it because it's almost assuredly all gone.
I hope that they didn't lose everything. I hope that they're still around, and I hope that they're able to call in.
Yeah, I hope.
And I hope that they're able to eat crow and admit, hey, maybe saying that this thing, was this great way of getting out of debt. Maybe it's not a good idea to sort of boost these things, and even when they admit they don't know where this money's coming from.
Right. Yeah, that's the thing too. Like so many people just don't like that. That's you always hear the crypto, boosters and advocates to the critics say like, "Oh, you don't know what you're talking about. You didn't do your research. You don't understand the technicalities or the technical side of this or how it all works." You know what? You could say that same thing about the very people who are actually buying into this. They just don't know. They just see. They just for months they saw a number go up, and that was enough for them, and they bought into the hype. And I mean, that's the thing. So many people thought this would never go down, or if it went down, just wait a few days and it goes right back up and then some. We are now beyond that. It's I don't know if there'll ever be a bubble like this again. People are saying there's people who still think Bitcoin will hit 100K, and there are people who are saying Bitcoin will never again hit the 69K peak that it reached in November. The latter seems much more relevant now, but who knows? Maybe there'll be some new Tether or Luna and Terra like scheme that creates a whole new another bubble down the road. So I don't want to speculate on that, but it seems very likely that the mask was pulled off to the fact that this was always just a pumped up value, and in the future it'll just be pumped up value as well. There was never the thing that
they're going to tell you.
Right, go ahead.
The thing that people will tell you is, oh, but this isn't inherent to crypto. These are crimes, no matter where they take place, whether they take place in crypto or whether they take place in finance. What they did was bad, but it's not an indictment of crypto. And you see this constantly. You see this with NFTs. You see this with crypto. All of the DeFi lending, and the what we need to say to these people is that this is happening faster and at more scale than has ever happened in the financial markets. Right? Like this is happening daily. Right? Molly White, who I saw in the chat earlier, had to create a website in order to track this stuff.
Right.
The revolution here is that this technology, you want to talk about use cases for the blockchain and use cases for crypto, it is to facilitate scams at tremendous scale and to milk and farm a whole bunch of liquidity from clueless retail investors. That's where the revolution is, and that's where that is where the use case is, to pull money in from people who are ultimately like victims, who are ultimately like built for just cash, kind of like by these absolute ghouls.
Right. I mean, let's put it this way: like, what are those things called? In there was the deli in New Jersey. Oh, a SPAC. I call it SPAC because it's.
Yes.
I hate saying SPAC. It sounds weird. But Special Purpose Acquisition Company. There was that story when that New Jersey deli. People might not know this. I might have to do an episode on this because it's fast. Not a crypto. It sort of is actually. You'll see now, but it's specific to the stock market. Basically, how Truth Social, Trump's social media company, got put on the stock market. You could buy shares in basically a blank check company, like a shell corporation that gets a spot on the stock market and like they get their their little ticker and everything, and they basically absorb an actual company that's looking to sell shares and doesn't they don't want to go through the whole process, and they basically combine, and there you go. Truth Social in that case is able to be traded on the stock market because they merged with this company that already had a shell company on the stock market. It's called a SPAC, and there was a deli, just a little local New Jersey deli that's traded on the stock market. You or I or anyone listening can literally go and buy shares in this little New Jersey deli. What is it called again? I want to see. There was a whole thing. There's this. Yeah. Okay. So there's a This was on CNBC last year. There's a single New Jersey deli doing $35,000 in sales a year, valued at $100 million in the stock market. And basically, this stock guy wanted to contacted this deli and set this all up. Said he was doing this to basically show how ridiculous it is. They're on the stock market. They're HWIN, Hometown International, and they're just a deli, and they're traded on the stock market under this SPAC thing. This is like a crazy scenario, and it happens every now and then, like I said, with Truth Social, but it's always pointed out as like an anomaly and how ridiculous it is. There's literally tens of thousands of these little New Jersey delis speckled all across the crypto world. Like that's what it is. And like I talked with David Gerard and Amy Castor on the earlier episode, and I think David brought this up, and it was a really great example of why these things are so different. Look at the stock exchange, like where you buy and sell stocks. There'll be analysis on hey, you should stay away from this stock. We would criticize the analysis. We could criticize the stock market for sure. But those exchanges at least try to guide you in a direction of, this might not be the best investment. That might not be the best investment. This is, currently trending up. This could be a good investment. None of the crypto exchanges do any of that because they just want you to buy any shit. They don't care. You see all these major exchanges bringing in all these shit coins more and more every day. It's like, what are you doing? Why are you even
Sam Bankman-Fried from FTX said that, I believe it was Sam Bankman-Fried said, this Luna thing was so transparently a scam. If that was the case, then why did FTX list the token? If it was so transparently a scam, why were you selling it?
Did he say that? Did he say that? Where, on Twitter or in an interview?
Yeah, on Twitter. Yep.
Oh my! I missed that shit. Did anyone point that out? I did not see him say that.
I'll have to track it down, but I'm almost positive. Happy to be corrected, but I'm almost positive it was SBF on Twitter said that this thing was so obviously a scam that why do we even need to say it? But his exchange was listing the damn thing.
Right. I mean.
Anyway, like I said, I'm going to dash so someone else can call in. Hopefully the caller from episode 12, episode 3 post show, 1 hour and 16 minutes in, perhaps they can call in and let us know how they if they got their funds out.
Yeah, I hope they call in. Oh wait, I found his thread. Okay, SBF said, now Luna/UST were bad and ended badly. So did Thorano. That's whoa. But the core accusation against Holmes isn't that Thorano's failed. Startups fail all the time. The accusation is that she lied. Okay, so he's sort of defending Luna/UST mechanism wasn't misrepresented. It was in fact very transparent. And I think it was transparently going to falter at some point. There you go. That's not him saying it's a scam. That's him saying it's a bad investment and then going ahead and a weak investment at the very least. Yeah. That's. It would have been a little bit more juicy if he said it was it was a Ponzi or something. Yeah, and then he goes on, most bad investments aren't Ponzi schemes. Some are fraud, some are bad luck, and some are somewhere in between. Oh, man.
I mean, this is the guy that in an interview with, is it Mark Levine, described like, oh, it's yield farming is like this box and you don't know what's in it and you don't know how it works, but it doesn't really matter because other people are putting money into the box and the box is increasing in value. And it's like, you're describing you're describing a scam, dude. You're describing a Ponzi.
Right.
Anyway, as I said, I gotta get out of here.
Oh, yeah, take care.
Have a great post show. I'll keep watching.
And
Cheers.
have a great Friday in Australia, my friend. Take care. Okay, so after hearing what Jon from Australia had to say, I had to go back to this February episode of the Scam Economy live stream post show to check out this call. And I was expecting it to be like a crypto advocate, jumping right in to defend and be an advocate for cryptocurrency and try to tell me how I was wrong. But what surprised me was this caller who called into the show to talk with me. They were familiar from my work before that on political shows, and they were a fan. And, they sort of had the same sort of progressive leftist politics as I, and were sort of hesitant about crypto. But according to them, they were sort of lured in by the easy money from, staking your crypto and earning from that. And unfortunately, we talk about a number of things. I'm putting the whole call here. It's very interesting to go back and listen to this call from before the crypto crash that happens months later. But, I'm listening to the call, and the caller even brings it up once. It's obvious that he's put his money with Celsius. And now I'm really hoping this caller got their money out. I don't know. I have not heard from them since, and I would love if they would call back in or reach out to me. Not to dunk on them, obviously, but to learn what happened with them and maybe, get an update on how they feel about crypto and actually maybe serve as a warning to other people who may get into this later. And so here's that call. Once again, patreon.com/MattBinder, scameconomy.com for all the links to the show. I guess I'll just say I hope to see some of you who haven't already listened to the post show tune in the next time we're live and call in. Would love to hear from you too. Here's that call. Hey, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Matt, this is Todd from Pennsylvania.
Hey, Todd, how you doing? What would you like to talk about?
All right, so let me see. There's a lot I want to talk about, actually, but so big fan of Majority Report here. And honestly, there's a couple of things. So I respect you guys a lot, so I look to you for, information regarding, everything with the politics. You guys really shaped my, view on politics, and so I respect your opinion, on things,
Right.
but I'm coming to you guys like everything you guys report on with Majority Report, I feel is honest reporting, like so high quality, honestly. But then my critique for you, well, it's not just you, but I'm actually worried about our whole party, and I'm seeing some lines drawn in the sand, and it's concerning me.
About what?
From the standpoint, so Democrats, so we have this reputation for being so bad with finance, right? So libertarians, they say dumb things all the time, claim that having no laws is better for the economy, which is silly, right? When Democratic administrations in the White House have shown one time after another being better for the stock market and so forth. But we have a bad reputation, for this, right? And now we're getting to a certain point where with crypto, if we're seen as just anti-crypto, like black and white anti-crypto, we're going to lose, dude, so many voters. Like I saw this one survey that said, of people between ages 18 and males surveyed in America, the ones between ages 18 and 29, like 59% or 60 something percent of them own some sort of crypto, like digital asset or NFT or whatever junk, whether that's worth anything or not. I'm just concerned about the strategy in terms of coming out and saying crypto is a scam. My question for you would be, do you invest in anything? Do you buy stocks or?
I mean, I I actually never did before the meme stock stuff, and that's because I knew nothing about finance, and I
Yeah.
fell for the line that we were actually buy I spent like $50, and we all do it, and we stick it to Citadel and the big hedge funds or whatever. And then I talked to people. That sparked my interest because I really never had any interest in it.
Right.
And that's why I continue to say when we bring up stocks on this show, the stock market on this show, I defer to bringing on an expert and I use what little I know to
Yeah.
discuss. But that's not why I bring this stuff up. I'm talking about this from a cultural, technology, political standpoint, and obviously
Sure.
being that it's a financial tool, finance and stocks will come into this. But that's where I'm going to have people
Right.
on to guide that. Um,
Okay.
but I mean, that's all I really took part in when it comes to that. I mean, I now learned that shortly after that it's all just bullshit. I mean, just like some hedge funds lost, some hedge funds got rich through the meme stocks too. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
it's all they'll always find a way. I mean, it's all just it is what it is.
It's all a game, right? So meme stocks you're talking about, like, is that like GameStop when GameStop?
GameStop, AMC, all that stuff.
Okay. Yeah. So like, all right. So my stance on crypto. So like, I consider myself progressive, not as knowledgeable on, as you guys are in politics, not my career path, but I'd say I'm very progressive, involved in the community in all different ways. My wife and I actually are part of like an environmental community outreach group. We're a super conservative town trying to change things. So long story short, I'm not a bad guy, right? I'm not a bad
Well,
person. I
here's the
care
thing.
about the environment.
I want to just put this forward too. Like this isn't. I want to be clear here. Like when we're having these debates on about crypto and stuff, I do look at it as inherently different from, if I was debating someone on like the far right on Doomed or something on my other show. Um,
Yeah.
I mean, are there a shitload of people that overlap? Yes, but at the same
Yeah,
time,
for sure.
this has become we're now in a world where this is a much bigger thing than it was a couple of years ago.
Right.
And so,
For
yes, I
sure.
do not think that automatically just because you invest in crypto or anything like that means you are a bad person or something. I take the claim that if you are just someone who is talented at making money from this space and you're just buying speculative assets and trading them on the exchanges and making money off of that, listen, we all do what we got to do. You found something where you make money.
Yeah.
I get it. Those
Yeah.
people,
Okay. Okay.
those
Yeah.
people
So
aren't the people I have a problem with. I mean, I wish they didn't have to do it, but I also wish people who worked for like ExxonMobil didn't have to, but there are people who do. I wish there were people who didn't have to work for
yeah.
a lot of terrible companies, but it is what it is. That's what you got to do sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah. I felt like I don't know. It just came. I felt like I don't. I watched the first two Scam Economies. Missed this one. I'll catch up on. Um. So I just felt like I was like, man, like I feel like you guys were like really like your first guest. You guys were like really like killing crypto holders, like all investors. I'm like, damn, these guys are murdering these guys. But anyway, but I was just gonna say, like, I think there is something to staking. I'm not an expert on it, but I'm learning. Like, I think there's something to staking where there's utility beyond just holding it. Beyond just like saying that it's scarce and that you're delegating it to nothing just so that more people hold it so the price goes up. I think it also lends itself to the integrity of the network. So like you delegate it to a validator, like on Solana, for instance. My understanding is that it takes place of the proof, instead of proof of work to secure the blockchain, they need proof of stake. So the more people that stake their holdings, the faster the network and everything, and the validators that get the most delegated coins or whatever gets the most rewards. Which I think that's I don't know how it works. I'm not a programmer and not a computer scientist, but that's my understanding. And from what I understand from the environmental standpoint, the blockchains that are like say Solana, for instance, I don't really know them all, but for Solana, for instance, they say that for every transaction, it's the same amount of energy that's required to do a Google search on your phone. So like, if you're playing with your phones, obviously hardly use any electricity. Obviously it's still energy use, but it's like nothing compared to, say, like Bitcoin, for instance, and like the H bar, Hedera hash graph. You're looking at, they claim to be carbon negative, for like this, because I think the company like invests in carbon credits, and then their blockchain's even like cheaper than Solana. I just feel like and I'm only saying that because I'm like, there's something more to this, I think, than what our party, like I saw, you guys kind of toying around with it because it's easy to make fun of. It's an easy target. And in my opinion, 99.99% of crypto is trash, just like the stock market. Like, but I just feel like if we start drawing a line in the sand, like I saw on TYT, like Anna Kasparian was like ripping up crypto. I was like, dude, come on. Like, we can't do this. This thing's growing. It's going to be like a $50 trillion industry. And we're just going to be like shooting ourselves in the foot like we always do. Like, I don't know. Maybe create good regs, like good regulations to like, I don't know, make Bitcoin like greener.
I
Like,
mean,
make it like force it to be solar power. Like if you're going to mine in the United States or Canada, like make an alliance, be like, you got to do it, but solar, wind, hydro, geothermal, like El Salvador is doing geothermal. Like,
I mean, they're saying they are. I don't know. And I mean, the
that's
whole
true.
idea that, all right.
I don't know. I don't actually know. Like they keep saying, oh, we're just like mining with geothermal energy with a volcano. I'm like, that's pretty novel. I haven't seen the facility yet. Like, but I mean, why don't more people do that? I'm not sure. Seems a little weird.
We're talking about a very small group of people, that
Yeah,
essentially is using up tons of, uh, tons of energy. I mean,
right.
they're the ones who are really getting rich here. I have the same thought about proof of stake that you brought up earlier, where to me, it's a scheme to keep people's money in the system so they don't sell off, obviously. And
Sure.
usually when you stake, I shouldn't say usually, but from what I've seen in the different schemes they're pushed for people to stake, a lot of staking is for like DeFi loans and shit like that. And
So
go ahead.
yeah, like so like the DeFi loans, I think is separate. Well, I think you can get DeFi loans like sometimes in those companies, like say Celsius, for instance, or like Vald, or like there's a whole bunch. That's another thing. Like, I feel like the language in some of the media, independent media specifically, is so harsh because I'm like, so I have, for instance, like I used to have like $200,000 of student loans, and now I have like, it's down, it's half, it's like 100. Yeah, like I can afford to pay it off. It's going to take me like 7 years. Like half my paycheck goes to it. It's crazy. If I stake stable coins, I can get, and I do, like every week it pays out and it compounds. With stable coin staking of USDC, I get 12.68%. And it's not fake money. Like I could pull it out right now. And I guarantee you, no savings bond does that. No mutual funds might get there, or they might lose your money, like because the stock market crashes because something crazy happens, or like nothing's stable like that out there that I'm aware of. Like, you're a millennial. Are you a millennial? You're
Yeah,
like
I am. But
probably a little.
my question is though, like, where are these earnings coming from?
Yeah. So people that are like way crazier than me, like maybe they're smarter than me and they figured out the thing, but like they borrow money on like leverage, and they're like, I don't know what they're doing, probably
See,
ruining their lives, right?
see, here's
But
the thing.
they're borrowing money and
I,
gambling.
I asked that question because I know where that money comes from. I wanted to
Yeah,
hear
yeah.
you say it. Listen, that sounds like the same sort of shit that progressives and people on the left advocate against, right? Taking advantage of people with high interest loans. I mean, The difference is instead of it going to
Is it
some,
higher? My question is it higher than like a credit card? So I guess you're saying like, is it ethical for people to be borrowing this stuff to do?
I mean,
So my understanding is that the
question
loan
is,
interest.
the question is really quick to put this so you could answer it. The question is,
Sure, sure. Sorry.
why is it okay? Well, why is it not okay that the banks take advantage of people that way, but it's okay that we are if we're getting a little bit of kickback from the DeFi companies?
So, I mean, from my standpoint, what I was, I guess what I was thinking before, I basically,
I mean, you
you
could
and
just
I,
be
we have saved probably, right?
you could honestly just be honest. I mean, I think the reason why it's okay is because you're making money from it. I mean, listen, like
Oh yeah,
it's
yeah, yeah. No, that's what I was gonna say. But I'm just like looking at like, well, so either a bank earns money on loans. I mean, they're lending somebody money that they don't have,
right,
the other person.
right.
So their service is, that person's choosing to, that you can buy a house with this stuff. I mean, you turn
I
it to
think
US
it's
dollar.
very. That's a. Some of these things are very. I don't know about if I would take it. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't
It's
use
done.
this
It's
service
been
at
done.
all. I mean,
That you
oh boy,
borrow, like if you own like $1 million of Bitcoin, you can borrow against it because you own. So like the way these things work is like, so let's say like it doesn't even hit your credit. So if I don't know, have $1 million of Bitcoin, but if you have $1 million of Bitcoin, you can borrow up to half the value of your Bitcoin to buy your house, so that you don't have to like put out that money. So or have a loan with the bank. You just have it set up that you pay a certain percentage, which is lower than a bank, to Celsius, the DeFi platform, for instance, to get it done. So that's how it works. So you're not actually. I mean, some people do crazy stuff like. I don't understand how all of it works, but I know for sure a lot of people borrow this money. They're gambling with it. They're day traders, and they'll leverage things, and that's what they do. I don't get the sense that it's only screwing people over, but for sure, like the way I look at it, I'm like, the reason why I brought up my student loans is because if you look at it, like we don't have that stuff. Like our parents were like, yeah, get a CD or certificate of deposit or a bond and sit on it for 50 years. Like they don't have that anymore, and the bonds are negative. There's no CDs. They're worth nothing. Money markets are trash. Nothing. It's like your checking and savings accounts get like 0.001% interest. If you get like the S&P 500 like mutual fund or something from Vanguard, or like the something similar, you're going to earn like 14% interest. Like I mean that's what it's going to be at the end of the year, like a yield like by the end of the year. And like this is like a savings account, and it compounds every week. And I can take it out. It's completely liquid. I can take the money out at any time. And my interest rates on my student loans are like 3%.
I mean,
So I'm like getting eaten away by
it's
these loans.
it's honestly
I can outrun it with stablecoin.
I hear what you're saying, but it's not. It's really not adding up to me. Like, I mean, I can't speak about CDs and bonds again. I don't know that space. I know that when I was little, my grandma, when I was born, gifted me bonds, and they aged. And after 10 years, I was able to cash them in for double what they were worth. And
Same.
that
I had the
investment
same.
is always going to be there. Like those bonds will always. You buy a bond, and I don't know if they how much they still go, but it's gonna go like from what I understand. I don't know if it's still that same amount, but it's not like you cash them in and they're worth less. Um,
I think they are though. I think, well, this is the argument, and I'm also not an expert, but my understanding is that I think they have a valid argument, and I'm not a huge inflation guy. I'm not like, oh no, inflation, but I think inflation does truly outrun the growth of the bond. So at least
I mean,
nowadays versus when we were
I
like,
mean, that could be the case. I don't know, but I
yeah,
mean, I'm not sure.
I just feel cornered. Like
But
basically, play the stock market or play crypto,
s-
and if you're gonna play it safely. And if we're Democrats, we should regulate it so it has consumer protections. And I'm like, let's do it, man. But let's not ban it because we're gonna disenfranchise a whole bunch of people, especially young people who actually understand crypto. And my request to you guys would just be like, do you know who Michael Saylor is?
Yes, I do. Yep.
I don't. If you guys could ever find a way to get that dude in front of you or something, or like, I don't know. I just think there's like millions of influencers on that are like these bonehead libertarians that like they have millions of followers. They're a huge community, and they are looking for a leader. And have you followed these guys by chance?
You like Michael Saylor?
Michael Saylor is one guy, but he's not really like an influencer. He's just like
Well, to them, to
this
the Bitcoin
Bitcoin.
guy
He's
people, he is. I mean,
yeah. I mean, he's something else. But like BitBoy Crypto or Cryptos R Us and these guys,
right.
they are like I'm trying to think of some of them, but Crypto Wendy and these people just spew this like libertarian like junk.
Well, that's.
And
I
I
mean,
always think like, what would the majority report do with these guys? Like, because they just say that stuff that the government is
right. I mean,
useless, all their stuff.
that's the play here, though, right? I mean, that's why that's the
They're
thing.
shilling.
Like, the reason you don't see like a leftist. Well, I mean, you do, and I don't understand it. The reason there's no push on the left to wrap our arms around crypto. I mean, it's the same reason why you don't see socialist stock market, bro. I mean, it's
Yeah.
it's
I hear what you're
completely
saying.
like, again, everything you told me about it as your pluses for it. Let's put aside any qualms about Celsius. I think it doesn't make sense in terms of the interest they pay out, and then there's someone's gonna get screwed. Let's put it that way. I think.
I think the banks do this already, and you just don't get a cut of it. That's my understanding. Like your credit cards are charging you like 24% interest, and they're just banking that if you hold a credit card balance from 1 month to the next. But the bank on the other side doesn't give any money to the people who have savings accounts anymore. Their savings accounts are just checking accounts. That's how it works.
Right.
That's
Sure.
my understanding.
Sure.
And so they're aggressively trying to grow the market, and so they're actually passing that on to the consumers because there's no. Well, and here's the thing. So my critique would be: it needs regs. It needs regs, man. It needs regulations like FDIC, whatever. USDT that you were talking about in your first or second scam economy,
right,
is a disaster. It's a total disaster. And when I learned how bad it is, I moved all my money out of USDT and moved it over to a more reputable one.
Right. I mean, but you also see the difference here with your analogy when it comes to loans from banks and their debt when someone doesn't pay or something. I mean, your money is FDC insured when it comes to the banks. I mean,
yeah, up to 250,000. I mean, I don't have that much money,
right,
but
I mean, truthfully, I mean, and I think people are probably should be smart enough to not, if they do have more than that. I'm sure Elon Musk doesn't have
multiple accounts or something.
Yeah, I'm sure Elon Musk doesn't have one bank account with $1 billion sitting in there. Let's put it that way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Listen, I think everything you said is a defense for you making money through this stuff,
yes.
which again, like I said, is fine. People do this sort of stuff.
Trying to get by, man.
Yeah, I'm not going to tell someone. I mean, if someone asks me if they should get into crypto, I'm not going to say they should. But if you're already in it, I'm not going to. Who am I to say you're bad? Get out. No. But you've also not made the point of why this is something that is in line with what we believe in terms of what would create a better world, a better society, what would take care of people. And even
I think more ethical bank, like if the banks could even get close to this, like I don't think the banks, they're so twisted up in a knot. Like I don't know if the banks could ever do what the stable coin staking is doing for me. I can't defend the use of the Ethereum stock, blockchain, which is used for my stablecoin, which I learned like the other day. Like that's a proof of work blockchain. It's like burning up energy somewhere. Yeah, I mean, so I think there's valid, like your critiques of crypto, Matt, I think are totally valid. I think I just think that I don't think it's all bad though.
I
I
mean,
don't think it's as bad as we're drawing the line in the sand, and I'm worried. I think it's better. It's a better way to hold your money, like bottom line, than a bank. Like if you're just going to hold money, it's better than a bank. Just period. Like there's no argument.
I would not trust that in a second.
Oh,
I'd rather my money sit there in a
really?
bank, and I'd rather my money sit there in a bank. I mean, I don't have a savings account. Like I don't. Here's the thing too. I mean, you're coming from a standpoint where everybody has money to invest. I would say the vast majority of people do not. The vast majority
That's
people,
true.
the vast majority of people are not thinking the way you're thinking. You know what my money does? It sits in my checking account because I need it. And putting it in something as unstable as crypto to store would be the dumbest possible thing I could do with it. I mean, it would
Well,
probably
yeah. I
be,
mean, it don't
it
have
would
any,
probably
if
be
you're,
if I
yeah,
wasn't going to use a bank, it'd probably be safer for me to pull it all into like fucking Apple stock or something that has consistently gone up due to it being pegged to an actual company that creates a product or a service and
sure.
generates revenue. I mean, if you have investment money to fuck with and you want to make quick money instead of safe money, then I guess
Well,
there's you could advocate for crypto, but I would never tell someone not to to store
yeah.
their money in crypto.
I guess I just think that Bitcoin is here. It's like unfortunately, it is what it is. Um, Biden's coming out with the regulations soon. Like they said, they're like working on it. They're like brewing something. They haven't like released what they want to do. They're gonna mess with stable coins, which is my risk, I guess. Now,
I mean,
but
I don't know of many. I mean, from what I've seen, the whole stablecoin ruse is what it is gonna fall apart eventually. I mean, none of them are backed dollar to dollar like they claim. Like that's the whole point
I,
of a stablecoin, right? It's pegged to the currency and is supposed to be backed by fully backed. I mean, that's the whole idea. That's the whole idea, right? That's the whole ball game there, right? The idea that that fiat money is bad because it's no longer pegged to gold or whatever, and it's just money being printed
yeah,
out of thin air. I mean, that is literally stablecoins. Eventually, it's all gonna fall apart. Like I'm not saying that's gonna be the end of crypto, but it's gonna be a reckoning for the entire industry to deal with. And we're going to see a lot of people lose a
for
lot
sure.
of money whenever that happens. I can't speculate that either. We could go who knows how long without it falling, and then eventually it will. But sooner or
I think
later, people are going to want their actual U.S. dollar money. They're not going to want their
yeah, that
digital money, and there's not going to
yeah,
be
like
enough for
that
everybody.
yeah that U.S. dollar coin, the USDC. So my understanding, and another thing I guess to look into, and if you guys can figure it out faster than me, that'd be great. I mean, report on it. But like my understanding is USDC, US dollar coin. I think it's made by a company called Circle. They have a third party company that like intentionally for transparency purposes, they have like another company audit whether or not they have like each dollar for dollar or what they call dollar equivalents. I don't know what that means. But it's like a separate company because they intentionally want to get people to use it because they don't want to be USDT. I think they're the second most popular stablecoin, and USDT is like falling apart. So I just think like I just see this as like the millennial stock market, and it's going to keep growing,
I mean,
and
I
it's going to be
mean,
an environmental problem, and we need to like make it so that they like you can use only green energy to do this stuff because it's got a better margin than like oil is my understanding. Maybe there's something different, but if you use solar to mine your Bitcoin somehow or whatever, geothermal, it's a better margin. It's like economically like lines up with capitalism to mine with green energy. So why don't you just put it all in Texas where they have their own, say you have to do it all with green energy and you got to use your own grid, stay off our grid, let them mine independently.
I am gonna have to move on now. We've been on the phone for a while. But I think
appreciate it, man.
I mean, I think the what you said
So
about
cool.
it being like the stock market for millennials. I mean, I don't look at that as like this is the future. I look at that as that's really fucking sad for millennials if that's the case. I mean, we're speculating on thin air. There's nothing here. There's nothing being generated. I mean, again, we're just throwing our money at something that doesn't exist. It's just not. There's nothing there. If that's what's actually going on, I would say that maybe it's being marketed to millennials so they can put their money in. But I bet if you look at the people who are making the who are actually making money off of this shit, sure, there's probably millennials, but probably the same millennials that who are the children of like a fucking Jamie Dimon or something. I mean,
Possibly.
I mean, we're dealing with a system here that from every turn I've seen, people like you make out with a little bit of cash, and you're very happy with it, and you'll be there because you get your money, and in turn, that pyramid scheme continues on, continuing to funnel the most money to the people at the top. I mean, but eventually you're going to try to set, the people at your level who need to find someone below them, and then they're going to find someone below them. There's going to be a point where the bottom falls out. I mean, it just is what it is. And that would be the case for anything where, I mean, we see this all the time with classic pyramid scams. I mean, there's a documentary. I've mentioned this so many times, but I mean, it's a good, thing to peg it to for like a classic, like multi-level marketing scheme or whatever. LuLaRoe. I mean, their moneymaker was getting people to sell, to set up their own LuLaRoe business and sell LuLaRoe clothes. I mean, it's the same thing. Eventually, there's going to be someone who doesn't want to buy in, and no one's going to be able to bring anyone into the LuLaRoe business class or whatever, and the market's going to fall from under it. I mean, that's how I see it. Thanks for calling in.
Hey, thanks so much. I appreciate it. Big fan, and I can't believe I got a chance to talk to you this long.
Anyway. That's why
Thanks, Matt.
This show is for longer calls. Have a good night.
Have a good one. Bye.